Hello, Professor Bethay. This is Alyssa. I'm sending you in my official portfolio for the final. I'll obviously go through everything that I have. Yeah, so I'll just get started. So first, in my portfolio, I did my basic stage makeup look. I'll go up close to the camera as to not make a glare. But this is my look. This is my personal reference photo. This is my basic stage makeup look for Heather Chandler in Heathers. I'll get as close as possible, and I'll even send in screenshots if needed, just so you can have a look. So for the actual application, it's over here at the bottom to show exactly how I applied it. And over here is the proper explanation on the exact application on how it was done. I'll come up closer. So for the actual look itself, to do this look properly, of course you had to demonstrate the proper values of a basic stage makeup look. You need to have the highlight in the obvious demonstrated areas, the chin, forehead, down the nose, down the eyes, and obviously you need to complete the proper contour needed around the cheekbone, the chin, perimeter, and down the sides of the nose to contour it. And of course you need to add an abundance of blush and make everything very prominent with your features, since people all the way in the back need to see exactly what's going on. So as for my makeup itself, I wanted it to look very bold, since we're dealing with a very bold character herself. Heather Chandler is the queen bee. She makes it known that she's the one on top. So as for my look, I wanted it to be as striking and as bold as possible with every possible feature. As you can see down the nose, through the contour to make it very sharp, and through the eyebrows to really make it bold, to make it seem that she is here. To go through the actual application process, we can start off with the face itself. As for the face, like I said, I've demonstrated highlight on my chin, down my eyes in a triangular form, over my forehead and down my nose. And as for my cheeks, I've applied a light pink / red blush, since red is her signature color, over the cheeks. And I made sure to over blush since it was during a time of the 80s. The 80s were a time where makeup was a very, very prominent thing. As for the contour itself, I made sure to make it very bold and very dark, since to me personally, I believe Heather Chandler is a person who was always dressed to the nines, as we've seen, and under stage lighting, she has very sharp angles, and under said lighting, this would be captured. So we can talk about the eyes. As for the eyes, I've also demonstrated the basic key details needed for a stage makeup look, creating a light color. Since I have hooded eyes, I put a light color on my lid, a dark color in beneath my crease, and a light color on my brow bone, so it can really bring out the eye. And I've also outlined just a little bit underneath my eyes so my eyes can be seen, and overdo my lashes by applying synthetic lashes as well. As for the eyebrows are also, like I mentioned earlier, they're very sharp, and I would drag beneath the underscore of the eye, drag it upwards to make the arch, and drag down my tail to make it very strong. And for my lips, I've just overlined it to make a little bit of a pucker, went over it with a deep red, since red is Heather's signature color. And this is my overall look. I will send screenshots if needed, but this is the overall. Let me try to not get a glare. This is the overall look. And now next, I will move on to my old age makeup look. So this is my old age makeup. Her name is Joan Burkhart. This is my makeup. Again, I will send screenshots. And then these are, I know reference photos weren't needed. I just felt the need to add reference photos. I'll explain them and her story, of course. And down below, I have the application for my old age makeup, from the picture to the actual worded in the application. Okay, so first I can explain my reference photos. So this is a character from Living Single, Sinclair, and these are photos really talking about NASA, space, overall. So basically, to really explain that, my character, her name is Joan Burkhart. She's an astrophysicist. She's 83 years old. She was born in Kingston, Jamaica, moved to New York as a child. Her look is really supposed to explain that she's a very down-to-earth person. She's extremely spiritual. She doesn't take herself very seriously, and she has a very sweet aura to her, and she has wonderful humor. But the second she opens her mouth to really talk about astrophysics, space and astrophysicist things, everything to do with math and everything to do with scholars, she is highly, highly, highly knowledgeable. So this is her. As for the actual application, we can see I've demonstrated it through here. I'll go over it one by one, obviously. For the face, obviously, I had to demonstrate the basic stage makeup rules for contouring. Only this time I would do it in a downwards motion when doing things such as my highlight and contour. For my highlight, I would drag it in a downward circular motion for my chin, for my cheeks, and my forehead. And I would also blend it downwards. As for my contour, I would also take it downwards. Instead of making it very sharp angle, I would make it rounded out as to give myself a very sagged and rounded out look to make my face very full. As for the actual color of my face, I went over it with a white translucent powder, but I realized that the pigment was still very chalk white, so I applied that all over my face to get rid of the hyperpigmentation of my skin tone. And then I also did the basic contour over my nose and went through the basic stage eye look with the light color over the lid, dark color through the crease, and light color over the brow bone, as well as going over with a lot of blush, since during her time, of course, she would add in a bunch of blush since that was very in. And then as for the forehead, I've added in a couple of wrinkles to really set in how old she really is as an 83-year-old. And I made them as prominent as possible so it could be conveyed to the audience properly, as so nothing would get lost in translation, as well as outlining the wrinkles in my smile line, my chin, and through my eyes as well. Just so you can see. As for my eyebrows themselves, I would also make them very much thinner by brushing them out with a spoolie brush, thin together in order to make them as thin as possible, since obviously during her time, thin eyebrows were very in, so she'd like to keep it that way. So I conveyed that by making them as thin and slender as possible, as well as adding in false eyelashes due to this being for the stage. You still want it to be seen to the audience. And for the lips, to make my lips seem very shrouded and very thin in shape, I went over it with some concealer over the sides of my lips and the tops of my lips, blending it in to make a very puckered look, since puckered lips were also very in during her era, during her time, and this helped make my mouth seem very thin through my lips. So this is the overall look. And again, screenshots will be shared. And that is it for old age. Next is my fantasy makeup look, where I recreated the look of Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is mine. Let's get rid of that glare. This will be mine. My reference photo of my character. And down below is my application, along with my written out application as well. So I'll go through this as well. So to really go through this, obviously you cannot do one shade of green. To go through the actual face itself, I went over my entire face with a light green base. And through my reference photo, you can see that obviously for highlight, you could use lighter shades of green, and you could also use lighter shades of yellow to really bring out the shape and the boldness of her features, to really bring it out and convey it to the audience. So I would go over my entire face with the light green. I would carve out the highlights with a lighter green and then go over it with a light yellow cream as well, over my chin, my cheeks, my cheekbone, down my nose, and over my forehead. As for contour, I would go over it with the darkest green shade cream I had, down my cheekbones, my chin, and over the perimeter, and down the sides of my nose. Ooh, glare. And as for my eyes, I know we talked about blacking them out. This is the final product of my eyes being blacked out fully. And it's not properly conveyed on camera, but I completely covered my eyebrows with clay wax from the Ben Nye kit, with scar wax from the Ben Nye kit. I would cover it, use jelly to really smooth it out, and I would apply scar wax to really convey her scarring over her eyebrows, over her forehead, down the sides, and on the sides of her cheek. And I would go over it with a very thin brush to highlight the silver for her scars, since she herself has scarring as well. As for my lips, I would take my darkest green shade that I also use for my contour, use the cream and apply it over my lips using a small brush so I could properly convey the shape. And I took it all the way down, obviously, to my chest. But this is the overall product. This is the overall. And this is it. This is the final product. And again, screenshots will be sent. Now for my final look, for my special effects look, I've completed this for my original character, Cora Delaney, where she clearly has a can in her eye. So this is my reference photo that I was going off of, and this is my photo itself. I'll go closer to the camera. And this is my application and my written out application as well. And then I'll take you through the story, the backstory of what exactly happened. She was having a light lunch with her boyfriend and her best friend. However, Cora's boyfriend at the time has been having a lot of jealousy issues. Jealousy issues even down to the fact where he feels uncomfortable with her girl best friend having lunch, just the three of them together. So as soon as her boyfriend felt threatened, Jeremy decided to let her best friend leave. So once she had left, they got into a little altercation where he believed as though she was maybe flirting with her friend. So he felt as though he needed to demonstrate his masculinity. So while he was talking to her, he was grabbing the can in his hands. And then as soon as he felt threatened by her, he smashed it into his eye, into her eye. And you can see exactly how hard that impact was. And with it already being crushed up in his hand a little bit, you can see that right here. So she crushed it into her eye, and this photo would show the exact impact. This would be 5 minutes after impact of it being smashed into her eye. This would be how she would be sitting in the chair once it had happened. So initially, that's how it would go. Hence the blood pouring downwards, hence why she would be sitting. So it'd be pouring downwards on her face. Get closer. See exactly how scarred. And then for the actual application, I took this can and I outlined the shape of it over my eye with a brow pencil. So I took the shape of it and just took an outline. And then with the outline, I went over the outline with the latex glue from my Ben Nye kit. And I did the outline with the brush over it to follow the pattern. And then I quickly got out some cotton. I quickly got up to cotton and tore it apart a little bit and stuck it all around the ring that I had initially followed. So with the ring, I had taken it to follow the entire shape. Once that had fully dried, I went over the cotton again with latex glue and quickly put the can over my eye, took a blow dryer and dried it so it could dry quickly. And then once that had fully dried and it stayed in place, I had painted it with my color foundation so it could properly match the color of my face, obviously. And then I would blend it out with a beauty wedge sponge all over and really stipple it around. And then I would take the 4 cream from the Ben Nye kit. I took a brown and used a small flat dense brush to really stipple the color and the bruising all around the eye. And I would also take the maroon cream color and stipple that around as well to show just how deep it went into her eye. And once that was set, I took the black stipple sponge and poured the blood from the Ben Nye kit. So I poured the blood into the stipple and stippled it all around the area of my eye to really show the value and show how thick and how far and how deep the can truly went into her eye. Once the blood had settled, it had made a drip effect going down my face, down my eye, down my cheek. And then that was the final product. I would go over it with some powder to finish it off. So that is the overall look. Let me fix the glare. And yeah, so those are all for my looks. And of course I have my self-portraits. And then I have my eye chart. And my color wheel. And that is it for my portfolio. I hope this video was properly well done. Thank you so much. Thank you for a wonderful semester. Can't wait to talk to you soon. Thank you.